Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado, proudly calling Colorado home for over 90 years. Dedicated to showing up for the community and putting people first. Credit Union of Colorado. Learn more at cuofco.org. Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, helping make back-to-school shopping simple. With lunchbox favorites, school essentials, and pharmacy services, including vaccinations. Shop in-store, online, or through the Safeway app. Learn more at Safeway.com.
For those of us without kids, that would be moi, it may feel like summer is still in full swing. But you parents out there, you know different. We are right at the start of back-to-school season. And if nothing else, that means when you're commuting, keep your eyes peeled for stop school buses and those flashing school zone signs, and making sure you keep your eyes peeled for any backpack-laden scamps and slouching teens crossing the street. After all, they're probably a lot more concerned with who they got for math this year than looking out for your car. I'm Mateo Schimpf. Coming up, do the psychological assessments given to police department hires cross the line into discrimination?
The only thing you can ask before you get a job offer is, can you perform the essential functions of this job with or without an accommodation? That's essentially all you can ask.
Then, when people with opioid addictions are ready for treatment, it can still take months to get medication. But a new clinic is speeding that process up.
You got to want to change your life. And this is something that's life-changing for you.
Plus, we get a musical lift from a song about trying to connect.
How can I sing things that I need to hear for myself, but also I'm sure someone else needs to hear it too?
It's Monday, August 10th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Applying for a job can feel like stepping into a black box, not knowing exactly how you're being judged or what will eventually determine your fate. People who want to work for law enforcement agencies face an added layer of mystery. Hundreds and hundreds of questions posed by an outside company hired to determine their ultimate fitness for the job. 6 years ago, that questionnaire cost a woman a job with the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. Not as a deputy, but in the communications department. And now she's filed a federal complaint and a lawsuit arguing the secretive screener violates the Americans with Disabilities Act. Here to tell us more is CPR's investigative reporter, Allison Sherry. Hi, Allison.
Hey, Mateo.
So, Allison, let's go over the backstory at the heart of this investigation. What happened to this woman, and why did she file a complaint?
So this woman applied for this communications job at the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. She was offered the job contingent on her passing another screening. And in that post-hire screen, she meets with the doctor at this company called Psychological Dimensions, and she acknowledged, after more questions, that she had been treated 7 years beforehand for PTSD. And then pretty shortly after that, a few days later, the job offer was rescinded.
Okay, so that's her story. Now let's dive in a bit deeper. From your reporting, it sounds like the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or EEOC, has a couple of concerns with how this company is conducting its business. Can you talk a little bit about those concerns?
Yeah, totally. So we know they're investigating what happened with this woman and why Arapahoe County rescinded her job and whether that violated the Americans with Disabilities Act. Her lawyer, Iris Halprin, called that a very cut-and-dried stigma case.
They're using a selection criteria that discriminates. In this particular case, I think there's disparate treatment as well, which is there was just intentional discrimination, right?
Well, we know from court documents that the federal government is also really concerned about some of the pre-hire questions that this company conducts before someone's even offered a job. Applicants are asked whether they'd ever filed a sexual harassment claim against a previous employer, whether they'd ever been in a courtroom outside of work. These are kind of pointed and, frankly, personal questions that employment lawyers say don't really touch on whether the person is qualified to perform the essential functions of the job. And Halpern, who's representing the woman in Arapahoe County, says that that entire line of questioning could be illegal.
The only thing you can ask before you get a job offer is, can you perform the essential functions of this job with or without an accommodation? That's essentially all you can ask.
The EEOC, the federal government, wants to know how the company is grading applicants on those answers. Like, do they mark them down if they have filed a previous sexual harassment complaint? Do they disqualify them for jobs?
The company that's charged with doing the evaluations is called Psychological Dimensions. What did you learn about this company from your reporting?
Well, they're very opaque about how they gauge suitability for jobs. This company does psychological screenings. They advise law enforcement agencies and other companies on who to hire. They don't disclose the questions they ask. They ask the agencies to trust them, and they'll give sort of reports. But what I have found is that usually the agencies are trusting this company to do their thing, and then they take their recommendations.
To some degree, it makes sense because we give law enforcement officers a lot of power, and it seems reasonable that if you're handling a lethal weapon, you would want to know someone's psychological baseline, their health, before you give them the authority to use it.
Totally. I mean, so the only person who can legally take your liberty away is a law enforcement officer. So you want them to assess risk factors and look at aggression and psychological instability. But they have to do it legally within the Americans with Disabilities Act. And the company would say that their evaluations are grounded in research. They're refined by industry-leading testing and real-world examples. But because they've kept so much of the content in their questions under wraps, we just don't know. And I will say they've been fighting very aggressively in court to keep those questions under wraps.
So there's been a bit of fallout from this case, one with the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, which is now under federal scrutiny for using these psych evaluations. But I understand from your reporting this could also have broader implications for the entire state.
Yeah. And, when I started reporting the story, I thought it would be kind of like a daily story on just the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office is under investigation and this is why. And then I started calling other agencies to see if they do this and if they use a company for it. And they all, to an agency were saying, oh, yeah, we use psychological dimensions. We use psychological dimensions. We totally do that. And it was Denver and Aurora and Longmont and Firestone and, big agencies and small agencies. So it was so widespread that we decided to do a little bit of a bigger story on it. But if this goes the way it could go, the EEOC could actually find that thousands and thousands of applicants were discriminated against in that pre-hire process because they're asking questions they shouldn't be asking.
Allison Sherry, thanks for your reporting.
You're welcome.
It's one of the tragedies of the opioid crisis. There are effective medications out there to cut cravings and help people kick their addictions, but getting those medications can be difficult and time-consuming. A new approach in Denver makes getting that help as easy as walking through a door. Denverite's Kyle Harris took a look, and he's here now. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Mateo.
So the place you reported on is a weekly clinic. It's run by the nonprofit WellPower. What makes it different?
So the big thing with this program is you don't need an appointment to go there. You can just come in on the afternoon that the clinic's open, and you get seen right away, and you basically walk out with a prescription for Suboxone or Sublocade.
Okay, some complicated sounding medications. For people who aren't familiar, they've really been a game changer in opioid addiction treatment. Is that right?
Exactly. So the people I've talked to, they say these medications cut cravings almost immediately. And at least for some, they've been way more effective than the old medication methadone. For this story, I talked with a former user named Nicole. WellPower connected us so that we could talk about her experience and her real desire to get other users to connect with these treatments.
I've been on other medications before, and I felt like they didn't help, so I felt like it was time for me to try something new. And I would say this medication definitely has changed my life, where I don't have any cravings. I don't feel the need to go use.
These medications are a lot more convenient than methadone, which has to be dispensed in a clinic setting. People end up waiting in line all day. Sublocade is a monthly injection, and Suboxone comes in a strip that you end up taking daily. The rough thing with Suboxone, though, is that for a long time it was really hard to get. People sometimes bought it on the streets because they couldn't get a prescription. Thanks to regulatory changes and generic versions, Suboxone is now way more easily available.
Okay, more easily available, and yet this clinic is trying to bring down those barriers to access even further.
Exactly. They really want someone who's ready to quit to be able to same day. Of course, the first step, as Nicole put it, is that people have to actually want to quit.
You got to want to change your life. And this is something that's life-changing for you.
The main thing is that people have to stop using long enough to start feeling withdrawal symptoms, and that can be hard. The idea there is that they're clearing out the opioid receptors in the brain so that the medication can actually bind with those receptors. But that can be done in as short as a day, depending on your biology.
Okay.
People who want to use the clinic to start treatment do have to plan a little bit right now, and that's because the clinic is only open one afternoon a week. But Wellpower hopes that if there is enough demand, that they can actually expand.
Denver, it's Kyle Harris. Thanks, Kyle.
My pleasure.
Without skipping a beat, let's pivot from the news to get a lift from some music. This latest track from Denver's Iman El Said, who performs as Sunstoney, is full of affirmation and vulnerability. It's called Waiting to Bloom.
I'm holding space for you when no one wants to hear you. I'm trying to be a friend to you.
A lot of my writing is things that I'm telling myself is possible.
You're just a flower waiting to bloom. Tell me what you need. I know you feel the weight on your shoulders.
I kind of try to carry that with me. How can I make affirmations? How can I sing things that I need to hear for myself, but also I'm sure someone else needs to hear it too.
I got you. You don't have to be lonely. I got you.
I think sometimes I have trouble with opening up to new people. I've been burned before. I think 3 years ago, I ended quite literally the longest friendship I've ever had. And I remember being okay, things don't have to be so deep. But in the same breath, I'm seeking connection and bonding experiences and closeness.
Let me be real with you. I don't know everything that you're going through, but it's so easy to be alright or die. Lift you up when things ain't going right.
Yeah, I feel Waiting to Bloom is kind of a manifesto of hey, be authentic. You can tell people what's real, and you'd be surprised when people are I've actually been through something similar, or some people will actually just hold the space and listen.
I can take it, you can tell me. I got you. You don't have to be lonely. I got you. Get out of your head. Baby, I got you.
It's also a dance beat, so it's yes, we're dancing over my pain or my thoughts or my feelings or whatever, but it's I want that cathartic move. I feel getting people to dance or move and not just stare at you when you're on stage, it really is a hard trick to do.
That's Denver artist Iman El Said, aka Sunstoney. Her song is Waiting to Bloom.
If you're feeling the need to unclench emotionally, this one's for you.
And before we go, a quick side story. Shortly after she released the music video, El Said got an early morning text message from a friend that woke her right up.
It was 8 a.m., crust still in the eyes, and Lily was girl, I'm, she said she was sitting on the toilet and going through Instagram stories. And she follows SZA, and she was SZA reposted you to her Instagram story.
That's Grammy-winning artist SZA.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. She kind of sent all of her followers over to me, which was wild. I think I gained 1,500 followers in 4 days. I messaged her because when someone shares something of yours to story, it creates a DM. So I was oh my God, thank you for, sharing.
I believe that makes me about 3 degrees of separation from SZA. So if you're out there and listening to CT, maybe send a few followers our way. That music lift was produced by our very own Stephanie Wolf. If you're not already, follow Colorado Today in your podcast app. Leave us a review. I'm Mateo Schimpf, and this is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado, proudly calling Colorado home for over 90 years. Dedicated to showing up for the community and putting people first. Credit Union of Colorado. Learn more at cuofco.org. Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, helping make back-to-school shopping simple. With lunchbox favorites, school essentials, and pharmacy services, including vaccinations. Shop in-store, online, or through the Safeway app. Learn more at Safeway.com.